50 years passed. Earth healed slowly. The cities that had been destroyed were rebuilt, different but beautiful. New towers rose where old ones had fallen. New parks grew where ash had once covered the ground. New children played in streets that their grandparents had died defending. Bizin was rebuilt too. It was not the same city. It could never be the same, but it was alive again. People walked through its markets. Boats floated in its harbor. The sound of laughter echoed through its streets. Admiral Yuna stood on a hill overlooking the new Bizin. She was over 100 years old now, her body weak, but her mind still sharp. She needed a cane to walk and a machine to help her breathe. But she had refused to die in a hospital bed. She wanted to see her city one more time. "It is beautiful," said Lieutenant Hana, who walked beside her. Hana was old too now, in her 70s, with white hair and a gentle smile. She had stayed by Yuna's side for 50 years. "It is different," Yuna said. "But yes, it is beautiful." They stood in silence, watching the sun set over the ocean. The sky turned orange and pink and purple, colors that Yuna remembered from her childhood, colors she had thought she would never see again. "Do you have any regrets?" Hannah asked. Yun a thought about the question. She had been asked it many times over the years, by reporters, by historians, by young people who wanted to understand what had happened. She had never given a full answer. "I regret that it was necessary," she finally said. "I regret that they gave us no choice. I regret every life that was lost, theirs and ours." She paused. "But I do not regret that Earth survived. I do not regret that our children are free. I do not regret that we showed the galaxy we are not prey." They watched the sun disappear below the horizon. The stars began to appear, one by one, scattered across the darkening sky. "Speaking of the galaxy," Hana said, "the latest report came in today, and nothing. Still nothing. No signals. No ships. No contact of any kind." Yuna nodded. This was not new information. It was the same report she had received every month for 50 years. After the destruction of the Valari Empire, the galaxy had gone quiet. Not just the Valari, everyone. Every species that had watched humanity kill a star-spanning empire had made the same decision: stay away from Earth. The Rithian Collective had closed their borders completely. The Morta Federation had moved their entire civilization to the opposite side of the galaxy. The Kellic swarm had disappeared into unknown space and never returned. No one wanted anything to do with humanity anymore. Some people on Earth were sad about this. They had dreamed of meeting aliens, of joining a galactic community, of exploring the stars with new friends. Those dreams were dead now. Other people were relieved. The silence meant safety. The silence meant no one would ever attack Earth again. The silence meant that humans could live and grow and build without fear. "They are afraid of us," Yuna said. "Yes," Hana agreed. "Everyone is afraid of us." Good. The word sounded harsh, but Yuna meant it. She remembered the attack. She remembered the helplessness. She remembered watching her world burn while she could do nothing to stop it. Never again. That had been her promise. Never again would humans be helpless. Never again would they be prey. The galaxy's fear was the price of that promise. It was a price Yuna was willing to pay. She lived for 3 more months after that visit to Bizan. She spent her final days in a small house near the ocean, surrounded by the few friends she had left. She did not talk much. She just watched the waves and remembered. On her last night, she asked Hannah to bring her the old photos. The ones from before the attack. The ones showing Bizin as it used to be. "I never cried," she said, looking at a picture of her mother. "All these years. I never let myself cry." "You were strong," Hannah said. "Stronger than anyone." Yuna shook her head. "I was angry." "That is not the same as strong." I burned with anger for so long that I forgot what it felt like to be anything else. She touched the photo gently. But the anger is gone now. I do not know when it left. Maybe years ago. Maybe just now. But it is gone. A single tear fell down her wrinkled cheek. I miss them, she whispered. I miss my mother. I miss my father. I miss the old Bizan. I miss the girl I used to be before all of this. Hana held her hand. They would be proud of you, she said. Everyone is proud of you. Yuna smiled sadly. I am not proud of what we did. I am only glad that it is over. I am only glad that our children will never have to make the choices we made. She closed her eyes. The stars are quiet now. Let them stay quiet. Let humanity live in peace. Let the galaxy forget about us. And let us forget about them. She died that night, peacefully, with the sound of the ocean in her ears. The galaxy held a memorial service for her, not because they loved her, but because they feared her memory. Leaders from every remaining species sent messages of respect. They praised her wisdom. They praised her mercy. They were lying, of course. They did not respect her. They did not think she was merciful. They were just terrified that if they said the wrong thing, humans might come for them next. And maybe they were right to be terrified, because in secret human laboratories, Dr. Jisu's students were still working. They were building new weapons, new ships, new technologies. They were preparing for a war that might never come. But they were preparing anyway. Minji's recordings were taught in every human school. Every child grew up watching the twin suns die. Every child learned what had been done to Earth and what Earth had done in return. The message was always the same. We are not victims. We are not prey. We are humans, and we will never be helpless again. 100 years after the attack, humanity sent its first exploration ship beyond the territories of the old Valari Empire. They found new worlds, new resources, new possibilities. They found the ruins of civilizations the Valari had destroyed. They found the bones of species that had died long before humans had even learned to walk. And everywhere they went, they found silence. No one came to greet them. No one came to stop them. No one came at all. The captain of that first exploration ship was a young woman named Yuna, named after the admiral who had saved humanity. She stood on the bridge of her ship and looked out at an empty galaxy. Where is everyone? Her crew asked. Hiding, she said. Waiting, watching. Will they ever come out? The young Yuna thought about the question. She thought about the stories her grandmother had told her. She thought about the old recordings of burning cities and dying stars. She thought about what it meant to be human in a galaxy that had learned to fear her species. Maybe someday, she said, when they forget what we did, when they stop being afraid. She looked at the stars, cold and distant and silent. But I hope they never forget completely. I hope they always remember that Earth does not forgive. Earth does not forget. And Earth does not lose. She smiled, the same cold smile that Admiral Yuna had worn 50 years ago. Let the stars stay quiet. It means we won. The ship flew on into the darkness, carrying humanity's future into the unknown. Behind it, Earth turned slowly in space. Blue and green and beautiful and terrifying. The galaxy watched from a distance and said nothing. Some silences are born from peace. This silence was born from fear, and it would last forever. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. On 1,000 worlds, in 1,000 languages, beings looked up at their screens and saw the impossible. The Valari homeworld was gone. Their twin suns had died. 4 billion of the most powerful beings in the galaxy had been turned to dust, and the ones who did it. A small species from a small planet called Earth. A species the Valari had tried to destroy. A species everyone had thought was too weak to matter. Admiral Yuna stood in the command center beneath the mountains of Korea. She watched the reports come in from every corner of the galaxy. Some species were terrified. Some were confused. Some were secretly happy. But everyone was watching. "Play it again," she said. The recording from Engineer Minji appeared on the main screen. It showed the twin suns collapsing. It showed the Velari homeworld breaking apart. It showed everything in perfect detail. "This footage has been broadcast on every known frequency," said Lieutenant Hana. "Every species in the galaxy has seen it." Yuna nodded. That was the plan. They wanted everyone to see. They wanted everyone to know. "What are the reactions?" she asked. Hana looked at her tablet. Her hands were shaking slightly. "The Rithian Collective has closed all borders to human ships. They say they do not want to be involved in whatever comes next. The Morta Federation has sent a message asking for peace talks. The Kellic swarm has gone completely silent. And she paused, and the Velari colonies?" Yuna asked. "There are 37 Velari colony worlds," Hana said. 12 have surrendered without conditions. 15 are preparing defenses. 10 have tried to flee to unknown space. "Track the ones who flee," Yuna said. "We will find them later." Dr. Jisoo entered the command center. She looked worse than ever. Her hair was messy and her clothes were wrinkled. She had not slept in days. But her eyes were bright and focused. "The second wave of devices is ready," she said. 50 Cascade weapons. Enough for all remaining Velari colonies. General Taiho, who had been silent in the corner, finally spoke. "Is this necessary?" he asked. "Their homeworld is gone. Their empire is broken. Perhaps they have learned their lesson." Yuna turned to look at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes were cold. "Have we learned our lesson?" she asked. "Have we forgotten Bizon? Have we forgotten Soul? Have we forgotten 2 billion human beings who died for no reason at all?" Taiho looked down. "No," he said. "We have not forgotten. Neither will they," Yuna said. "If we stop now, they will rebuild. In 100 years, maybe 200, they will come back. They will come back and they will finish what they started. They will kill every human on Earth. They will burn our planet to nothing." She walked to the window and looked out at the mountains. "I do not enjoy this," she said quietly. "I do not celebrate death. Every time I close my eyes, I see the faces of the Velari children who died. I know they were innocent. I know they did not choose this war." She turned back to the room. "But I also see the faces of our children. The ones who died in Bizon and Tokyo and Beijing. The ones who never got to grow up. The ones who trusted us to protect them." Her voice grew harder. "We failed them once. We will not fail them again. The Velari must know that attacking Earth means death. Complete and total death. Not defeat. Not surrender. Death." The room was silent. "Send the fleet," Yuna said. The second wave was even more devastating than the first. Human ships appeared near Velari colony worlds without warning. They deployed their cascade devices and disappeared before anyone could react. One by one, the stars of the Velari Empire went dark. Some colonies tried to fight. Their ships attacked the human fleet with everything they had. But the human ships were fast and the human weapons were strong. And every time a human ship was destroyed, 3 more appeared to take its place. Some colonies tried to surrender. They sent messages begging for mercy. They promised to leave humanity alone forever. They offered treasure and technology and slaves. The human response was always the same. "We do not want your surrender. We want your end." The killing lasted for 6 months. Surrounding systems watched in horror as the Velari Empire disappeared star by star. Species that had lived in fear of the Velari for thousands of years saw their old masters die. Some celebrated. Most were too afraid to feel anything but terror, because if the humans could do this to the Valari, they could do it to anyone. Minji recorded everything. She was on a different ship now, traveling from colony to colony, watching world after world die. Her recordings were sent back to Earth, where they were broadcast to every human. People watched with mixed feelings. Some cheered. Some cried. Some turned off their screens and tried to forget, but no one tried to stop it. How do you feel? Another crew member asked Minji one day. They were orbiting a Valari agricultural world, watching it freeze in the darkness of a dead sun. Minji thought about the question for a long time. Empty, she finally said. I thought revenge would feel different. I thought it would fill the hole in my heart. But it does not. The hole is still there. My brother is still dead. She looked at the dying world below. But now they know how it feels. Now they understand the emptiness we carry. Maybe that is enough. Maybe that is all revenge ever, is making someone else feel what you feel. The last Valari colony fell on the anniversary of the attack on Earth. It was a small world. Barely 1 million beings, hiding at the edge of known space. They had thought they were safe. They were wrong. When the sun died and the world went dark, Admiral Yuna was there to watch. She stood on the bridge of the Reckoning, the ship she had named 3 years ago. The ship that had carried her across the galaxy. The ship that had helped her keep her promise. It is done, Captain Doyim said. He was older now, his hair turning gray, his eyes heavy with everything he had seen. Yes, Yuna said. It is done. She looked at the darkness where the Valari sun used to be. Somewhere in that darkness, the last of the beings who had attacked Earth were dying. She waited to feel something. Victory. Satisfaction. Relief. But she felt nothing. Just emptiness, like Minji had said. The hole in her heart was still there. Bizin was still gone. Her parents were still dead, but Earth was safe. Her people would survive. And that, in the end, was all that mattered. Take us home, she said. The Reckoning turned and began the long journey back to Earth. Behind it, the remains of the greatest empire in the galaxy drifted in the cold darkness. The Valari were extinct, and the galaxy would never forget how they died. The United Earth Council met in an underground bunker beneath the Swiss Alps. It was the only building large enough to hold all the remaining world leaders that had survived the attack. The room was cold and gray, lit by emergency lights that flickered every few minutes. General Taiho stood at the front of the room. He was 60 years old, tall and thin, with a face that looked like it was carved from rock. He had been a soldier for 40 years. He had fought in many small wars, but nothing had prepared him for this. Behind him, a large screen showed images from the attack. Cities burning, people running, ships in the sky that looked like metal monsters from a nightmare. 2 billion dead, Taiho said. His voice was calm but heavy. 40% of our cities destroyed. Our military reduced to 30% strength. Our satellites gone. Our communication systems damaged. The leaders in the room sat in silence. Some were crying. Some were praying. Some just stared at nothing, their minds broken by what they had seen. The aliens called themselves the Valari Empire, Taiho continued. They did not come to talk. They did not come to trade. They came to hurt us, to show us that we are nothing to them. He paused and looked around the room. They made a mistake. A man from what used to be Germany raised his hand. His name was forgotten in the days that followed. History only remembered what he asked. What mistake? They destroyed us. How can we fight beings who can travel across stars? Who can destroy cities in seconds? Taiho smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a wolf who has been kicked and is now planning something terrible. They let us live, he said. If they wanted to kill all of us, they could have. But they did not. They wanted slaves. They wanted us afraid and broken. They wanted us to surrender. He turned to the screen and changed the image. Now it showed something different. It showed a woman in a white coat standing in front of a strange machine. "This is Dr. Jisoo," Taiho said. "She is the smartest person on Earth. Before the attack, she was working on something we called impossible. She was trying to understand how stars work, how they burn, how they live." He paused again. "How they die." The room became very quiet. Even the crying stopped. "Dr. Jisoo has found something," Taiho said. "In the ruins of the alien weapons, she found technology we never imagined. She has studied it for 6 months. She has learned from it. And now she has built something new." The image changed again. This time, it showed a small device, no bigger than a car. It did not look dangerous. It looked almost simple. "She calls it the cascade device," Taiho said. "When activated near a star, it creates a reaction. A chain reaction that cannot be stopped. The star collapses. It dies. And everything around it, every planet, every moon, every living thing dies with it." A woman from Brazil stood up. Her face was pale. "You want to destroy their sun?" she asked. "I want to destroy every sun they have ever touched," Taiho said. "I want them to know fear. Real fear. The kind of fear they showed us." The debate lasted for 3 hours. Some leaders said it was too cruel. Some said it was necessary. Some could not decide. Admiral Yuna, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "I watched my city die," she said. Her voice was soft, but everyone heard it clearly. "I watched 12 million people turn to ash in 1 second. I counted the dead. I remember their names." She stood up and looked at each leader one by one. "They did not ask us if we wanted war. They did not give us a choice. They came into our home and they killed our children. They burned our world. They laughed at our pain." She walked to the center of the room. "Now I am giving you a choice. We can surrender. We can become slaves. We can let our children's children serve these monsters forever. Or we can fight. We can make them pay for every life they took. We can show the entire galaxy what happens when you hurt Earth." She paused. "I have already made my choice. I am going to find them. I am going to kill them. I will do it alone if I have to. But I am asking you to come with me." The vote was called at midnight. One by one, the leaders cast their votes. Some hands shook. Some faces were wet with tears. But when the count was finished, the result was clear. Unanimous. Every single leader voted yes. Humanity had decided. There would be no negotiation, no mercy, no forgiveness. In the months that followed, Dr. Jisoo worked without sleep. She built more cascade devices. She trained other scientists to build them too. She created weapons that would make gods afraid. She was 35 years old with tired eyes and hands that never stopped moving. She had lost her husband in the attack on Seoul. She had lost her daughter too. Now she poured all her pain into her work. "How many do we need?" General Taiho asked her one day. "How many stars do they have?" Jisoo answered. Tae-ho looked at her for a long moment. He saw something in her eyes that he recognized. It was the same thing he saw in Admiral Yuna's eyes. The same thing he saw in his own mirror. "Make as many as you can," he said. The factory started working. Day and night, humans built ships. They built weapons. They built machines that would carry them across the stars. Every person who could work did work. Every resource was used. Every mind was focused on one goal. The Valari had given humanity something it never had before. A common enemy. A shared purpose. A reason to become something more than they had ever been. Engineer Minji was one of the thousands who worked in the factories. She was 28 years old, small and quiet, but her hands could build anything. She had been a car mechanic before the attack. Now she built engines for starships. Why do you work so hard? Another worker asked her one day. The war might not happen for years. Minji did not stop working. She did not even look up. My brother was in Tokyo, she said. He was 17. He wanted to be a teacher. He wanted to help children learn to read. She tightened the bolt with more force than necessary. He never got the chance. So I work. I work until we can give them the same gift they gave us. What gift is that? The worker asked. Minji finally looked up. Her eyes were dry but burning. Loss, she said. Complete and total loss. 3 years after the attack, the first human ship was ready. It was not like the alien ships. It was not beautiful or elegant. It was ugly and brutal and built for one purpose only. Admiral Yuna stood on its bridge for the first time. She looked around at the controls, the weapons, the crew stations. She touched the metal walls with her hand. Does it have a name? General Taiho asked her. Yuna thought for a moment. She thought about Buzin. She thought about all the names she carried in her heart. She thought about what this ship was going to do. The Reckoning, she said. We will call it the Reckoning. Taiho nodded. It was a good name. When do we leave? He asked. Yuna looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Valari were living their lives. They were eating and sleeping and laughing. They had probably forgotten about the little blue planet they had burned. They would remember soon. Soon, Yuna said. Very soon? Captain Do-Hyun had never wanted to be a hero. Before the attack, he was a simple cargo pilot, moving supplies between Earth and the Moon. He liked the quiet of space. He liked being alone with the stars. He liked the peace. The Valari had taken that peace away. Now he stood on the bridge of the Shadow, one of 12 ships in the Ghost Fleet. They called it the Ghost Fleet because it was designed to be invisible. No signals. No heat. No trace. Just dark shapes moving through the emptiness between stars. How long until we reach the target? He asked. Navigator Sora checked her screens. She was young, only 24, but her mind was sharp like a knife. She had memorized every star map they had. She knew the location of every planet the Valari had touched. 3 more days, she said. If Dr. Jisu's calculations are correct. They are correct, Do-Hyun said. He did not doubt Jisu. No one did anymore. She had given them the weapons to fight back. She had given them hope. The Ghost Fleet had left Earth 2 months ago. 300 crew members spread across 12 ships. They had said goodbye to their families, knowing they might never return. They had kissed their children and held their wives and husbands. They had made their peace with death, but they had not made their peace with the Valari. Do-Hyun walked through his ship, checking on his crew. They were a mixed group from every country on Earth. Some had been soldiers before. Some had been teachers. Some had been farmers. Now they were all warriors. He stopped at the weapons bay. Weapons officer Yoonji was running tests on the Cascade devices. There were 4 of them, each one small enough to fit in a closet. Each one powerful enough to kill a star. Are they ready? Do-Hyun asked. Yoonji nodded. She was 40 years old with scars on her hands from years of work. She had been a bomb disposal expert before the attack. Now she built bombs instead of stopping them. Ready and waiting, she said. Just point me at their son, and I will do the rest. Do-Hyun put his hand on their shoulder. We all will, he said. On the 5th day of travel, they found what they were looking for. Captain, Sora said. Her voice tied with something between fear and excitement. I am seeing it. The Valari homeworld. Do-Hyun walked to the main screen. His breath caught in his throat. The planet was beautiful. It was blue and green, like Earth had been before the attack. It hung in space between two suns, twin stars that made the world bright and warm. Millions of lights dotted the surface. Cities, homes, lives. 4 billion Valari lived on that planet. 4 billion beings who had never known war, who had never felt the fire fall from the sky, who had never counted their dead. Do-yoon stared at the planet for a long time. He thought about what they were about to do. He thought about all those lives that would end. He thought about the children who would never grow up, the parents who would never see their families again. Then, he thought about Bizen, about Seoul, about Tokyo, and Beijing and New York. He thought about 2 billion humans who had died screaming, while the Valari laughed. All ships, he said into the communication system. This is Captain Do-yoon. We have found our target. Prepare for deployment. The Ghost Fleet moved closer. They stayed in the shadow of a large moon, hiding from any sensors. They watched and waited and learned the pattern of the Valari defenses. There were none. The Valari did not have defenses around their homeworld. Why would they? No one had ever attacked them. No one had ever been able to. They were the strongest empire in the galaxy. They had destroyed hundreds of civilizations. They had never lost. They did not know that losing was possible. They are sleeping, Sora said, looking at her screens. No military ships. No weapons platforms. Nothing. They think they are safe, Do-yoon said. They think no one would dare. He turned to his crew. 300 faces looked back at him. 300 hearts beating fast. 300 minds thinking the same thought. Today, they learned that they were wrong. The deployment was simple. Each ship released its cascade devices toward the twin suns. The devices were small and dark, impossible to see against the emptiness of space. They moved slowly, taking hours to reach their targets. The crew waited in silence. Some prayed. Some cried. Some just stared at the stars. Engineer Minji was on the shadow. She had asked to come, even though she could have stayed home. She wanted to see it happen. She wanted to record it for everyone who had lost someone. Why are you filming? Another crew member asked her. Because Earth needs to know, she said. Because the galaxy needs to know. Because the Valari need to know that we remember everything. The hours passed. The devices reached the twin suns. They activated at the exact same moment, just as Jisoo had planned. Nothing happened at first. The suns looked the same. The planets still turned. The lights still shone. Then the first sun flickered. It is starting, Sora whispered. The flicker became a pulse. The pulse became a wave. The wave became a collapse. The star began to fold in on itself, its light growing brighter and brighter until it was blinding. Then it went dark. The second sun followed seconds later. The same flicker. The same pulse. The same terrible, beautiful collapse. For one moment, the Valari homeworld was lit by 2 dying stars. For one moment, 4 billion beings looked up at the sky and saw their gods falling. For one moment, they knew what the humans of Earth had felt. Then the darkness came. Without their suns, the planet began to freeze. Without light, the plants began to die. Without heat, the air itself began to turn to ice. But the cold was slow. The real death came from the collapse itself. When a star dies, it does not die quietly. It screams. It throws out waves of energy that can destroy everything around it. The waves hit the Valari homeworld like a fist from an angry god. Du Hyen watched on his screen as the planet broke apart. Continents cracked. Oceans boiled. The atmosphere burned away. In less than an hour, everything was gone. 4 billion Valari. Dead. No one on the Ghost Fleet cheered. No one celebrated. They just watched in silence as the last pieces of the planet turned to dust. Minji kept her camera running. She recorded every second, every moment, every death. "Did we have to do this?" someone asked. Their voice was small and sad. Diane turned to look at them. His face was tired and old, even though he was only 45. "They killed 2 billion of us," he said. "They burned our cities. They murdered our children. They came to our home and they showed us no mercy." He looked back at the screen where the dust of a dead world was still floating. "We did not start this war, but we will finish it." The Ghost Fleet turned and began the long journey home. Behind them, they left nothing but cold and darkness and the memory of what humanity could do when pushed too far. The message was clear. The Volari had thought they were dealing with prey. They were wrong. They were dealing with predators, and the hunt had only just begun. Admiral Yuna stood on the bridge of the ESS Guardian, Earth's largest orbital defense station. She was 53 years old, with gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too many battles. The morning had been quiet. Too quiet, she thought. Her coffee had gone cold in her hand. The first alarm came at exactly 6:47 a.m. Korean Standard Time. "Admiral, we have unknown contacts entering the solar system," said Lieutenant Hana, her voice shaking. 17. No, 23 ships. They just appeared near Jupiter. Yuna set down her coffee. She walked slowly to the main screen. The ships were unlike anything humans had ever seen. They were massive, each one the size of a small moon. They moved with impossible speed, crossing millions of kilometers in seconds. "Try to contact them," Yuna ordered, for 30 minutes. They sent every greeting they could think of. Mathematics, music, images of Earth, pictures of humans smiling and waving. The universal signs of peace. The alien ships did not respond. They simply moved closer. Then they opened fire. The first plasma beam hit Biz at 7:22 a.m. Yuna watched on the screen as her hometown vanished in white light. The city where she was born, where her parents still lived, where she had learned to swim in the ocean, gone in less than a second. She did not scream. She did not cry. Her face became stone. "Casualties?" she asked. Lieutenant Hana was crying openly. 12 million, Admiral. The entire city is. There is nothing left. Just glass where the buildings used to be. The alien ships did not stop. They moved to Seoul next. Then Tokyo, then Beijing. One by one, the great cities of Asia began to burn. Earth's military tried to fight back. Fighter jets flew toward the alien vessels. Missiles launched from submarines and ground stations. Nuclear weapons detonated against the strange metal of the enemy ships. Nothing worked. The aliens did not even slow down. In the first hour, 60 million humans died. Yuna watched it all. She recorded everything in her mind. Every city that fell. Every number that climbed. She made herself remember because she knew that one day someone would have to answer for this. "Admiral," said Commander Junho, her second in command. He was a young man, only 32, with a wife and 2 children in what used to be Incheon. "What do we do?" "We survive," Yuna said. "And then we remember." The attacks continued for 3 days. The alien ships moved across the globe like farmers burning a field. They seemed to target population centers specifically. They wanted to kill as many humans as possible, but they made a mistake. They focused on cities. They ignored the military bases hidden in mountains. They ignored the submarines deep under the ocean. They ignored the space stations orbiting far from Earth. On the 4th day, the aliens stopped. Their ships gathered above what used to be New York City. They sent their first and only message to humanity. The message was simple. It was in every human language at once, somehow translated perfectly. You are weak. Your planet is now property of the Vari Empire. You will serve us or you will die. This is not a negotiation. This is your truth. Then the ships left. They jumped away to somewhere far across the galaxy, leaving behind only death and fire. 2 billion humans had died in 3 days. Una stood in the ruins of the Guardian Station. Half of her crew was dead. The other half looked at her with empty eyes, waiting for orders that seemed pointless. "Admiral," said Hana, who had somehow survived, "the world governments are calling. They want to know what to do." Una looked out the window at Earth below. She could see the black spots where cities used to be. She could see the smoke rising from 100 different fires. Her planet was wounded, bleeding, dying, but not dead. "Not yet. Tell them I'm coming down," Una said. "Tell them to gather everyone who is left. Every scientist, every soldier, every engineer, every person who can hold a tool or think a thought." "What are we going to do?" Hana asked. Una turned to look at her young lieutenant. For the first time in 4 days, something appeared in her eyes. It was not hope. It was not fear. It was something older and darker. It was the look of a predator who has been wounded and is now very, very angry. "We are going to learn," Una said. "We are going to build. And when we are ready, we are going to find them." "And then what?" Una did not answer. She did not need to. Everyone on the bridge understood that in the months that followed, humanity did something it had never done before. It stopped fighting itself. Every nation, every group, every person who was left, they all came together with one single purpose. The politicians stopped arguing. The countries stopped competing. The religions stopped disagreeing. For the first time in human history, there was only one question that mattered. How do we make them pay? Una was made Supreme Commander of Earth's United Military. She did not want the job. She did not care about titles or power. But she accepted because she was the one who had watched Bizen burn. She was the one who had counted the dead. She was the one who would not forget that her first order was simple. "Find me our smartest people," she said. "I do not care what country they come from. I do not care what language they speak. If they can help us kill these monsters, bring them to me." The scientists came from every corner of the broken world. They came with ideas and theories and dreams of revenge. They came because they had lost families too. They came because they wanted to hurt the ones who had hurt them. And in a secret base built beneath the mountains of Korea, they began to work. Una visited them every day. She walked among the laboratories and the workshops. She listened to their plans and their progress. She nodded when they succeeded and encouraged them when they failed. "How long?" she would ask each week. "We do not know yet," they would answer. "Work faster," she would say. "The dead are waiting." At night, alone in her quarters, Una would look at old photos of Bizen, pictures of her mother selling fish at the market, pictures of her father teaching her to sail, pictures of her father teaching her to sail, pictures of a city full of life and light and laughter. She would not cry. She had promised herself that she would not cry until the job was done, but she would remember every face, every name, every soul that had been stolen. The stars had declared war on humanity. They did not know it yet, but they had made a terrible mistake. They had let some humans survive.